I only took it to like 30%. I didn't develop everything with it, but took it far enough that it shows all the aspects of what you're going to be modeling. And I can start by maybe showing the 3D here.
Is that Mills Creek Road by any chance?
No, this is up in Spotsylvania County in Virginia.
Okay. So they all look the same, I guess.
Yeah, they do. Different settings here. Bear with me. So there it is. It's just a one-lane roundabout. One only had 3 legs. With the 4th leg, that was just an entrance. So pretty basic roundabout. I think the one you guys are doing it's a 2 lanes coming in. Is that correct?
That's like a hybrid. Yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid multi-lane.
Gotcha. So there's going to be some complexity there that you won't see in this, but I think all the same stuff applies. So I guess just kind of starting at the beginning. So you have the layout already set, like in MicroStation, just with MicroStation lines.
Correct.
Okay, that'll be super useful. That's how I start too. Because you need to figure out your deflection and everything before you even talk about what the vertical is going to be or what the model is going to look like. So first thing, really, just your mainline profile. Is what you want to start with. So to do that, I mean, you're going to have the geometry tools up here for your horizontal and your vertical. So have you done any modeling in ORD?
Yes, I've done like some basics in ORD.
Okay.
But
so you're familiar with these tools?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Great. So yeah, I'll just start with laying out your complex by PI. That's what I typically use, and then putting a vertical profile on that. So that would be for your main line, and typically, unless you have some legs that are really offset from each other, typically I would run the same baseline through the entire center of the roundabout. Then on that profile, you really only need to worry about the profile up to like the end of the splitter island or up to the central actual roundabout area. But I think it's easy enough, and you might as well just run the baseline all the way through. So then you set a profile on that, just like you typically would for a road. Then the next baseline you can set is for the roundabout itself. Generally, I always set that baseline on the outside, the outer edge of that lane. So it might be a little hard to see here. I don't have arrows to show, but this area here is a 12-foot lane, and then this area here is a truck apron. So you want to set that roundabout baseline on the outer edge of your lane, and that helps with like tying in these other grades to that point. So that's what I would suggest doing as the best practice.
Okay.
We can look at the profile on that because that's a little unique compared to other ones in another file, but I think this will work. So generally, this is what a roundabout profile is going to look like, and I guess you know this. It'll generally be a spline, so you want the grade at the beginning to be the same as the grade at the end. So you're going to set a profile. I mean, just like you've done, I guess, in Geopack or otherwise. So maybe that's duplicate information. So then after you have those set, you want to be able to model each of these edges. So what I do is create an alignment here that follows that edge of pavement that matches whatever you had drawn in MicroStation. And then you can set a profile on that guy. Let me pull that profile up. Yeah, I can grab it. Too many lines in here. Common problem. So you want to set a profile for that line to control that edge. And how I go about setting this profile is a portion of it, well, I guess I project from the mainline baseline for a portion of it, say 2%, if that's your normal cross slope. So you can use that. You can do the projection tool, which is underneath one of these right here, profile by slope from element. You can create an alignment or a profile from the mainline for the beginning part of this alignment. And you'll see that line showing up here, that thin white line, and that's just 2% from this profile. So that's going to get you really close. Now, when you get into the roundabout, you're going to have to deviate from that 2%, of course. So when you get up closer, then you're going to want to hit a point that comes off the roundabout. Then you could do a intersection, profile intersection point. That gives you a point which shows up as this little pink dot. You can see that. And so that's your point that you want to hit on this roundabout. That's kind of the way I go about laying out each of these outside edges of the legs. And then you'll have a profile for the inside edge of this leg. And you do something probably pretty similar. Generally, this one is probably going to be a fairly constant slope from the mainline baseline. So I think I probably did, in this one, I probably just did a constant 2%. Something that matched pretty close. That's kind of how you can go about laying out those profiles. And that's the main profiles you need, at least for now. So then coming up to what I did on this one is I ran the main typical or template up to a certain point to where these legs start to deviate. I could have, in retrospect, I could have run that template, a little further, probably up into here. Whenever you start coming around this radial return, then your cross slopes are going to get a little funky. So you want to build this whole area with either a surface template with individual corridors or something like that. So you want to run your main template, which is right here, this corridor, up to where your lanes start to deviate. And in this whole area in here, you're going to create corridors for the outer side that follow that alignment that we made. And then one on the other side, and then corridors along these splitter islands. And those corridors, I guess we didn't talk about that alignment. Those corridors follow another alignment in here. Having a hard time finding. It's on Plan D and C. Maybe this one actually. No. Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding that.
No worries.
There it is. That's the alignment there. It goes all the way around wherever your splitter island is.
And is that just on the gutter line?
Yeah, well,
the curve base?
Yeah.
Okay, face the curve there.
And so then you get a profile on that based on either, I think Cameron mentioned this morning that I think she put a profile on that based on the proposed surface that she has coming through here. Or not proposed surface, but surface template. Or you could base that, you could put a profile on that alignment based on a certain slope coming off the baseline. So then you can do a corridor along that represents the curb, and that corridor would just contain the curb, nothing else. And then you could apply a surface template in between in this area for your concrete section. And then this whole area in here, this pavement area, is going to be just a surface template. And that surface template can be made up of these elements here. Right there's an element in here, right there. And then there's another element on the outside here. I think that might have been it. Are you familiar, or are you used to doing surface templates?
Yes, I guess the, basic, nothing too complex, but I've
Yeah.
done some surface templates.
Gotcha. So surface templates are kind of big in intersections or roundabouts in general, just because you have pieces of the roadway that aren't following, aren't perpendicular to the baseline. So, creating a terrain from elements and then creating the surface template are used for tools for roundabouts. That kind of gets you the leg, I think.
Does that put the skin sort of in between the elements?
Yeah. Yep. The surface template. Yep. One issue you have with the surface templates, and I haven't found a good way to solve it, is when you go to create your cross sections, the surface templates don't annotate usually well, at least in the VDOT workspace. So anywhere where you have that surface template, you're gonna probably have to do some hand placement of annotations in the cross section. Okay. So that's also a reason why you want to run this main corridor probably as far as you can. Like I should have ran it up a little further, I think. And then because this whole area here kind of pretty much follows a standard offset from baseline. Because what I had to do then is in this whole area, I had to add in those annotations by hand. And only a couple cross sections, but yeah, additional work. Any other questions there on the leg? And we can move on to this roundabout.
I think I'm good. I think, yeah, we can move on.
Okay. One other thing I'll say with this is I tend to use corridors for all of these different elements, even if they are just a curb or just a curb and gutter with a sidewalk, versus using linear templates.
Okay.
So corridors will have a lot more functionality. If I go to the corridor here, pulling up another screen, I'll pull it over onto the loads. Corridors will have like key stations, which are really useful for getting the model to process at a certain point. They also have the various template drops, which I don't think linear templates do. So linear templates are just a little more confining. So I tend to always use corridors. And I haven't found any harm in doing that. So just be aware of that.
Okay.
So then this roundabout area is just going to be just one corridor wrapping all the way around. And that corridor is going to have a template in it that, comes from the baseline. It goes, in this case, if I get oriented right here, I figure out which way my baseline is going. It's going this way. So the template will just have, pavement that comes up to the truck apron, and then it'll be the truck apron, and then have that curb. And then generally at the center of the roundabout, I just fill in with a surface template. But you could have a graded portion in your roundabout template that kind of fills in this area. You may be left with just a tiny circle in the middle.
One argument for placing the baseline actually at the inside of the pavement, is actually so that you can, as you go around the roundabout, change the cross slope instead of having to change the baseline if your legs aren't matching up correctly. Because we had to do that. We had to do quite a bit of, we call it like flaring the cross slope, to get the legs to match at certain segments because of drainage problems we were having.
Yeah, you did
so if
mention
you
that.
have like a heavily tilted roundabout, that might be one argument for placing the baseline on the inside instead. But it definitely depends on your project, because I see why you would place the baseline where you did, Ryan.
That makes sense, Colby.
Yeah, so you're saying the baseline, the circular baseline that goes around the outer edge of the roundabout, placing that on, I guess where your cursor is.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what you see in sort of the older manual, like the roundabout manual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you end up having to do is, warp these whole areas. And if you're like on Cameron's project, they're trying to force it low, I think in certain spots. They were lowering the cross slope across this roundabout to kind of force that spot. So if you put the baseline on this outside like I did, you wouldn't be able to drop that point without monkeying with that roundabout profile, which wouldn't be ideal. So, yeah, it's a good point. So yeah, so I don't know. You may not know from the get-go which way you want to go. So maybe leave yourself open and put that baseline on the inside edge.
Okay, yeah, that's
good practice.
Yeah, maybe the safe bet there.
Yeah. Yep. Other than that, you can do so outside, I guess, of modeling. There's some like smart ways you can lay out your fastest path. And maybe auto turn. I haven't played with auto turn, but fastest path, it's all just based on offsets from these curves. So you could lay those fastest paths out with the offset tools under the geometry horizontal tools, in such a way that if you had to make a change, add more deflection to your leg, those fastest path lines would update automatically.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So like you could come in here, and you want to do an offset from this line. I guess it's 2 feet, either 2 or 3, I forget, but 2 feet in here. So you can place that line, and then you could, your line that comes, and I'm drawing my fastest path here. The line that comes across here, you could use your snap to snap tangent here. And you'd have to extend that path, but then tie it in with the curve. But then the idea would be then if you had to flatten, or say the path was too fast through here, then you could tighten up this radius theoretically, and then your fastest path would update.
Would adjust with it, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe kind of play with that. It doesn't take too long to lay out these fastest paths, but that's something I've done in the past. Not every single time, but occasionally. So that's just something to, I don't know, a little trick maybe to play with. You may find it useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else, Cameron, you can think of?
Just one thing. We had fill and overlay on our project. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yep.
All right, so let me turn some of this off. So if you guys can see this section right here, we're considering mill and overlay, and this will be full depth pavement. And so basically to get these shapes, what I did was in a control file, it's hard to see. Basically, I drew shapes of where the pavement will be, and then used the clipping terrain, where is it? Create clip terrain model to create these individual slices, and then applied an individual surface template to it. So Ryan was saying that you can basically make like each leg its own terrain and then apply a surface template. But for this one, I actually did this entire all 4 leg kind of like little piece as one, and then cut them individually. So that's just one more way. I found that really helpful because you can actually apply, this can be its own clip terrain as well if you want it to like exactly match, instead of just trying to get the cross slope to match in all the different places. So I liked the bigger one and then clipping it, but either way works really well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only other idea I had or comment.
Okay.
One of
Yeah.
the-
No. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. One other thing I thought about as far as using those offset tools. I'm going to show you an example here. So, you know, the standard offsets in the Roundabout manual for your splitter islands, you can use those with this horizontal offsets tool. You can use that tool to lay out these splitter islands, and then that would be set up theoretically in the way that if you had to adjust your legs, the splitter island would go with it. Now, that's best case scenario. You know, these things are going to be shifted around a little bit, but it's kind of useful. You're going to be doing these offsets anyway, so might as well use these tools up here to actually lay that element out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And as far as, I don't know if there's anything with template creation. Let me load my template here. I think the templates are pretty normal. Let me just see while we're on the call here. It won't take long. Yeah. So I mean, these are all just general template creation. You can see here, you know, your curb, that would be, you know, around your splitter islands, you'll have a curve like this. So that corridor will reference this template, and that's all that will be in that template. And then you're filling the gap between those curves with the surface template.
We share these libraries,
Yep.
Brian?
Sure.
In that way, that'll help them. They won't be building from scratch, maybe.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be definitely appreciated.
Yeah.
I don't even know if maybe, is it possible to like copy the model to another directory just in case they want to go in and kind of break stuff or mess around? You know what I mean? Will it still preserve it, or?
Yeah, that should work. We should be able to copy as long as we grab all the necessary files, move it to a new location. We could re-reference everything, and that should work fine without breaking. So yeah, if you just send us a location, we could do that.
Okay.
And then in these for the templates, once you have your template, then you can bring in pieces from other templates. And I'm blanking on, I think it's up here under Tools, Template Library Organizer. Are you familiar with this?
I think so, where you can like open up the 2 different template libraries and pull through.
Yep. So you open up those template libraries, and so you could grab pieces of this one or grab pieces of Cameron's and then put it into yours.
Okay.
That's the best way to move those around.
And
there's a roundabout. Like I was saying, you could add a piece of this central island, the graded portion. You could add in. I don't know, Cameron, if you did that or not on yours, or you're just doing a surface template up here in the central island.
Yeah, I just did a surface template with the green space.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's all I have. Obviously, as you get into it, I'm sure questions will pop up, so feel free to reach out. Any
Okay, yeah,
questions?
yeah, definitely. I really appreciate this. This is already a huge help and to get me going. And then yeah, I'm sure once I'm in there, I'll run into some issues or need some guidance. So I'll definitely reach out to one of y'all if I get to that.
Cool.
Anything from a drainage standpoint he needs to be cognizant of while he's setting up Ryan, or is it pretty straightforward and that's sort of a different animal?
Just I guess what like Cameron's running into, drainage is a little different in roundabouts, but I mean if you're familiar with roundabout design, then you might be good on that front. But just trying to force water different areas, you're gonna have to play with the cross slopes. And then if who's doing the drainage? I mean, are we doing ORD drainage?
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant as
Okay.
far as their file set up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know of anything specific there. Generally, I think they're placing inlets based on the proposed terrain. So they're gonna have to have a proposed terrain from us, but I think that's pretty normal. So JD ran with ORD drainage on this project. Cameron, is JD doing on yours too?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not yet, at least.
Okay.
We have 2D profiles.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific on modeling that we need to be aware of. I haven't used ORD drainage very much to exactly know how it all works. Yeah, you have to do JD may be a good resource for that.
So
We did a little bit on a North Carolina project, but it was like 30% level as well. But in that one, we had to actually model the storm sewer. I think we were able to like snap the elements to some of the either the edge of pavement, like the gutter line or the curb line.
Yeah.
And then assign it like a certain offset to get it 6-inch curb or whatever. So it just had a lot of clicking through different options before it finally places the inlet. But once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. But I don't think we have to start that for a little while, right, Jeff?
No, you're good. Okay. Yeah, we're way off. Or for a while out. Yeah, probably after public hearing as we move into field inspection. Yep. And we could probably set up another workshop too with Kabine and JD once we get to that point. Good deal. Well, I appreciate everybody putting this together. I definitely learned some things.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, happy to help. Or you have any other ORD questions too?
And I think we was talking to Ryan a little bit. I mean, we're talking about the civil cells, and I guess we haven't had much luck in getting them to work on things that once they're more complex. But
yeah, that was going to be my only question was if y'all had any experience with the civil cells, because I know whenever I did my first initial research online, Bentley had a few videos on using the civil cells to kind of build out the roundabout, but it seemed like it was definitely more very simple design ones.
Yeah, that's been my experience. If you're starting to have offset legs to get your deflection or anything unique with your splitter islands, it just becomes hard to work with. So I've always just I did try the civil cells from the beginning and then kind of bailed on that and just kind of built it out. So just kind of custom. That's worked the best for us. So.
Okay, that's good to know.
One of the things that it looks great in the video, with a simple.
Oh yeah,
it's you got a hybrid roundabout coming in. It's gonna be more difficult to have a cell work.
Yeah, in an ideal world, in a like, contained environment, it always works perfectly with the civil cells and like even like in training and stuff. But it's always a different animal once you get to like a unique project. So
exactly. Yep.
Colby's gonna have 3, and each one of them is different from the. I don't think any of them look similar. So
3 roundabouts.
yeah.
Wow.
All right. Big project.
Yeah, so this will be fun.
Yeah, you're jumping in.
Head first.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. Send us a link to the project. We can get some of these files over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe create a some kind of working folder, some folder that we can dump these into. That won't affect anything.
I'll create a folder in there and get that sent out to you guys. I greatly appreciate it if y'all could get some of those files brought in. I can kind of take a look at.
Yep, for sure.
Perfect.
Deal.
All right. Well, thank you all so much.
Yep. See you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.